You're still Secretary General of the Arab League. There's uprisings happening now in Libya, in Bahrain, in Yemen. There's been violent government crackdowns on these uprisings in those three countries. There's human rights groups have been critical of you and the Arab League for not condemning these actions by these governments against these popular uprisings.
No, we have done that yesterday in a very clear statement, and today in another one, that they have to stop. The using violence against the demonstrations has to come to an end immediately, and that the dealing with such expression of opinion by the people should not be accepted. So yesterday, in a very clear cut statement, I am astonished that some have not read it. It was on Twitter, on the Facebook, on the site of the Arab League, and the newspapers, the news bars. So I believe that is what we have done as a regional organization. We talked about the violence, about the dead and the wounded. We talked about the way to deal with such situations. There is a wave in the Arab world, wave in the Middle East, wave in North Africa that all of us want change. And this is a historical development. It is a new trend. It will not be stopped by violence. You see, violence has been tried, but then dialogue is it, and change should be the address, should be the goal. Our position on this was very clear.
The uprising in Egypt was a secular uprising. It was started by the youth on January 25th, but many groups joined it. The Muslim Brotherhood joined it. They now have announced they intend to form a political organization, a political party. What's your view of their role in Egypt?
Whose role?
The Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, Muslim Brotherhood is part and parcel of the Egyptian political scene. We cannot deny that. But at the same time, it was clear that this change, this revolution, this uprising was not instigated by them, nor led by the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood was part of it. It has a corner in what we have seen in the square and in other uprisings and other demonstrations in our cities. So the Muslim Brotherhood is part of the scene. If you recognize that, I believe it is healthier to recognize it and to allow them to express themselves clearly and formally through a party, through whatever other mechanism. It is good that they were part of the dialogue that was initiated during the uprising. And then part of the consultations that followed, and part of the Constitutional Committee that the Supreme Council has established. This would put them very clearly on the theater before everybody. You say your opinion, I will approve of it, accept it, or reject it, rather than we just don't know where do they stand.
Do you think new candidates and new parties will be ready, organized, funded in time in 6 months? Some think 6 months is too short.
Too short for this. But now there is a party that has been approved only a couple of days back, which is Al-Wasat Party. I understand that many of the young people and others of the 25th January movements intended to establish, to ask for a permission or a license to also build a party. And this is healthy. We need those parties of the 25th of January, of the liberal trend, of the Muslim trend, that all of them have to agree that they are working under the wide umbrella of democracy and in defending this democracy. So if democracy is the address, you can have under it from right to left, and Egypt will be safe. The constitution will also be one of the important safeguards for this democratic move and democratic process that would have parties, would have elections, would have parties that win, and I'm sure that an intense debate between liberals, conservatives, leftists, rights, etc., will be the result of this new open atmosphere in Egypt.
Two more questions.
تفضل.
Some say Egypt should switch to a parliamentary system rather than a presidential one for governance. What are your thoughts?
Well, I believe that parliamentary system is a good one, but it has to, we have to prepare for it. Today, you cannot have a parliamentary system because you don't have enough parties or ready parties or some even serious parties. You do have some, but they are not ready to contest elections of that kind that would build or prepare for the new Egypt. So I believe that a presidential system for this period of time, for 5 years or 10 years, and the constitution should be revisited to see whether, to consider whether the parliamentary system now, the country is ready for it or not.
Finally, this uprising in Egypt was watched by the world, inspired much of the world. You're a leading figure in Egypt, across the Arab world. Why do you think this happened in this way? And what do you think it can, the message that it sends to the international community?
First, Egypt is central to this region and has an important place in on the world map, political map. Therefore, whatever happens here is observed, is watched with a lot of attention. So once this happened, everybody, worldwide, region-wide, expected that the domino effect will work after the Egyptian revolution or the Egyptian uprising. So I believe that we are now, as I said before, the winds of change are sweeping this region. And once the Egyptian revolution, which we have seen and admired, has succeeded or is on its way to succeed, and we have to make it succeed. This will inspire the rest of the region, not only the Middle East, by the way, Africa and the rest. I was reading an article this morning about the effects of the Egyptian revolution in India. See, as far as India. And it was debated also in China. I read that in some international newspapers. So that shows the weight of the developments in Egypt, of the revolution in Egypt. Very inspiring and very expressive of the Egyptian active involvement in their own affairs, because we were accused of, we don't care about that as long as there is a piece of bread and a piece of cheese. Okay, nobody will raise them. No, the young people and the people of Egypt have expressed themselves differently. They talked about freedom. They talked about future. They talked about the role of Egypt. This is very important, and this is the message. This is the message that now people can change. When they want to change, they are determined to change, they succeed in changing. This message is going around all over the world, and in particular in this region.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Arab League Secretary General Amr Moussa speaking to Democracy Now!'s Sharif Abdel Kouddous. Moussa is stepping down as head of the Arab League this month. He is widely expected to run for president of Egypt. This is Democracy Now!